Hello, 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 you blunder beasts and you blunder manians. I wanted to tell you something really cool. I always forget how to change the. I love playing with the mesh colors. I love the mesh lines. It's so cool. Look, let's look in her mouth. Let's look. Ooh, what's in there? Nice. She's amazing. Smurfette. She really loves Star Bloom and Star Fluke. Okay, so I'm having a lot of fun playing with this character, and I wanted to say now to come up here in your wireframe and your solid view and your material view, and then in your rendered view. Now, if we come here while she's in rendered view, and we come down here where it says wireframe color, we can switch it from theme to object to random, just a random color. And I don't know exactly what random means. If we go to this mode, the solid mode, and then we click down on the right arrow and we change her, it looks like she just kind of has a random color. That looks cool. Green. And then if you hit texture, she doesn't really, or yeah, she does have a texture. And then I think she does have a texture on her. I can't remember. And then you zoom in. Okay, but let's get back to going back to rendered mode and then the drop down and then go to wireframe color. Now, if we go to object right here and we click at your object, now we can come down here to the properties. And this is where I used to get so confused, and still I do. And then I believe if we come here to object properties, the square, and you scroll down to where it says visibility. See here it says, and this is where we can turn on names for her bones, I think. And then show name, axis in front. And we've got some options here. And this is showing us her bones, I think. It's supposed to show us her bones. Let's see. Names. And then wireframe. And the axes. These are for the bones. Now, why? I'm not sure why they're not showing bones in front. This is why it gets confusing. Here, I just selected the bones, and this is where you turn on. It says name. Display the object's name. Huh. Let's go to pose mode and hit the name. Interesting. Textured. Boy. Okay, so here I am, see, getting confused. But now I'm in the bones. I selected the bones, like so. And I'm in pose mode. So object mode, select the bones, and then come down here to data, properties for the bones. I can turn the names on. And in front, so I can see the name of the bones. That's important. especially when you're working to weight. So I'm going to turn that back off. Now, I'm going to come back out here to object mode, select the mesh, and come back to the object properties. Now, in viewport display, it says name. So I'm not sure what that display the object's name. So it must be displaying down here. Oh, armature. There it is. I couldn't see it. There it is, down at our feet. Okay. And if we switch to solid mode, we can see that. So there's her name. Down, way down there. Now, I never play with that. But now it's highlighted. I just selected it. Smurf mesh. And the axis here, right here. You can see the yellow turn on and off. Okay, so let's get back to what we were talking about. My favorite thing. So now this is the color that's going to show up in, I think, let's see. Let's go to, let's fix her. What happened? Pose mode. Oh, I wonder if I drug her skin off of her. That's what that can happen. So you go in here to object mode and I select the mesh, and then I hit the grab key or something and I select her, and then I pull her off her bones and mess her up. And that could have to do with her axis being on. So, oh, that's going to be a big mess. So let's edit and do all that. There. So I probably accidentally pulled her because her axis was on. Or while I was showing you. So you can undo that. And I also think that if you get stuck and you click and you hit grab and you find, you moved her a little, I think that you can select that, her mesh. And I mean, especially it's been a while and your undos, you can come back here and hold your cursor over location and hit backspace. There. And if it's rotation, you can hit rotation. But I don't want that. Edit, undo. I don't know why. I must not have. And what we want to do is we want to apply this. Yeah, she's turned now. So I think she was flipped. So what I want to do now is I want to hit object, apply, rotation. Now the numbers are going to change right there. See, they changed. So now they're applied, and that's how she should be. And that way, if we select her and we accidentally, rotated her in object mode a little bit, and then we were working on her, modeling her, and boning her, we found out she was off from her. Let's see there. And we went to pose mode and we were posing her or whatever. And I'll hit select all, select all, and then you can go pose, clear all. And that'll get her back. And I believe there's another shortcut key. What was it? Oh, I think it's rotation, Alt-R. Yeah, Alt-R. So the same with grab would be Alt-G. Well, no, because it's rotated. So Alt-R. Alt-R. And so there's ways to get things back straight again, and then we go to object mode, and then so we had rotated her skin, but we don't see the numbers here in this transform. So let's select her mesh. And again, we'll hold our mouse over rotation and hit the backspace key. And now her skin and her mesh is rotated to what we wanted it to be at. So it's very good to know that, because you might be like posing, like select her armature and then go into tab into pose mode, and you start modeling her, posing her, and you're working so hard to get her animated, and then you make a little mistake and find out she's not where you want her to be. And you go out, you go to edit mode, you go to object mode, select or mesh or something, then you go to edit mode. And sometimes she looks a mess in edit mode because she's posed. But that's okay. Let's see if we can do it again. Let's go to object mode, select the mesh. Let's go to pose mode, and let's rotate her some more. Let's rotate her on her head, and rotate her hand and her arm. Hi. Hey. And then, so now she's posed, and she has on her keyframe. So we probably want to actually, here, let's just move her to a keyframe, and then let's pose her head like this, and I'll keyframe that. Holding my mouse over the viewport, hit I on the keyboard, and now let's go to object mode. And let's select the mesh, and then go to edit mode. So she looks like she's a mess here, but she's not. This is her mesh, the way she's supposed to be standing. And so in edit mode, you might freak out. But it's okay, because she's right where she's supposed to be, because she's posed. So if we come back out of edit mode to object mode, see, she looks okay. And then we can select her armature and go back to pose mode. And then we can hit A, hovering the mouse over the viewport, hit A to select all, and then pose, clear all. And then that might help if you're editing her in object mode, and then you select your mesh and go to edit mode again. And you might want to do some modeling here, some editing, maybe. You want to fix her hair or something different. So now her mesh will stay the way you model it here. So it's up to you, but you can just save file, save a new copy. So save your file and save a backup, and do incrementals. So I'm going to come back out to object mode, and just take a note and remember that if you accidentally out here moving her around, you want to pose her and move her here on her axis. Well, it's really her empty object she's parented to. So I just undo that. See, you can grab her on here, and you can move her, but she's going to be away from her parent. So move her here in object mode if you want, and that way you can animate her on that to position her, and then she can be animated. in her bones and she'll stay. So if I move her on her parented object and I move her out here, see, way out here, she'll stay. So I can position her there, and then I can go and select her bones. I can go to pose mode, and I can animate her. Well, she's already animated, that's right. So, but we can animate her and move her legs. And I'll turn the auto keyframe on and move her leg. And move her leg here. I just quickly animate her. Hey. Okay, so I'm keyframing and animating her bones. Now, when I tab back into object mode and I play her, let's bring her keys. Oh, she's only going to 20, so. But I'll bring this down to here, to her last keyframe, and hit Control End, and that will select these keys. And it'll end there, and now she's animating like whatever, right? So let's say you want to move her in the scene now. And look, there's her axis. See, it's really easy to not move her axis. Now she's way over there off her axis, but see, I can move her axis, and then I can animate it. So if she's walking or whatever she's doing, and I'll delete that key because it was auto keyframe. Now move this here, and I'll bring this back, and then I'll scrub down to 10, and we'll drag this back here. Let's see. Let's go back to the center of our unit. There. Now we can hit play, animate, and she will move on the scene. That's pretty fast. But she's going to be also animating her bones are animating. So let's see, I'll drag this out. So she goes slower. Just put this out here. Further down the timeline. Okay, and then I'll move the scrub bar to here and hit Control Home. Right. Control End first here. Home. Okay, there we go. Now let's play and watch this. We could put a camera on her too, but here she comes. Here she comes, a little bit slower. But the first part of her animation, so let's zoom down. There, I'll select her, and I'll hit the period on the numpad. Now you can see her animated part all the way out. She's gonna walk. Well, she's kind of flip, flop, flop, hop. So let's play it now. There we go. So you understand what I'm saying. This is kind of a quick tip. And then we can actually come over here and let's see. We can choose, we're in the action editor. We want to be on the timeline, so I'm going to come back here and I'm going to hit timeline. Now, the first two frames, let's duplicate these. That would be Shift D, duplicate these out, Shift D, like that, and out. Now she'll animate further out. And I can select them all. Shift D and animate. Move these out. Shift D. Shift D. All right, there we go. Now let's see. Yeah. You can see. She looks a little bit funny, but who cares? Now we can watch her. Let's get like this. Move her back. All right, let's hit play. Turner. He's definitely. Okay. Now let's watch. Let's click the overlays off. We can select it. Now let's watch her. So you see how we keyframed her? And she'll walk around or bob around. And then we can set the key. We can animate the key, so that we can see her better. But just so you can see. So see. Hi, here I come. I really like you. I really love you. Here we go. Let's keep animating it. Okay, so that was just a quick run on that. So that's why it's important that she has her I'll turn the overlays back on. She has her empty object that she's on. So we can move her around, and let's see if I can move this back and move her to it. If I can remember how, I'll show you. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to come up here, because this is like this, and this is the origin point. So we, in object mode, we want to come up here to this little drop down. No, underneath it, where we have our viewport displays. Right here it says options. We want to transform parent, because she's parented to this object. So we select the object with that checked, and now we can move it back to her, to where she was. Sometimes it's a little bit, and then we can move it back to where she was, kind of. Sometimes you want to reposition your parented object, because I hit the numpad period to get zoom in on her, and we can put that back. So that's okay if you end up pulling it around. Sometimes you need it where you need it, but she's parented to this object. Now we can turn parent in options, parent back off, and we can move her like this. Move her around, and it's keyframe, so she's gonna pop back as soon as we play this. Yeah. Now we can see her moving forward. So we have her moving on her, animated with her bones, and then she's moving on this. Da 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 da. Bye. Ooh, see you later. Here I go. see where the camera's at. Okay. So let's play that. No, 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 no. Okay. 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 What do we get on today? Here she comes. She loves us. She's running for us. Hi, Smurfette. Yes, we love you too. Okay. So now I've got the lock on so I can, so she'll move inside the, staying there locked to the camera. And if I turn that off, we can see that that's the camera right there. She's in. So, boop, boop, camera mode. That's the camera in the scene that we're going to be animating again very soon. Okay, so let's put her down here at the end and pull her up. Let's select her. Let's hit the numpad key and zoom in on her a bit. And now we can rotate her around. Yay. Okay, so that was fun. Now you know why it's good to have the parent on object. So cool. Now these parents work great. So let's pop back into rendered mode here. And I wanted to show you again. So about the mesh. Isn't that cute? So come up here to the rendered in object mode, like I was saying to start with. In object mode until I got distracted. Of course, in Blender, I'm going to be distracted. Then click on not modifiers, but click selector mesh, and then click, oh yes, object properties, the yellow box. And roll down here, and in viewport display, in color, you can click the color. Now we can drag this. You might have a circle, but now here's where you change the color. But notice in green, I just put green on her so you can see. Now here, if you come up here now, if I switch to theme, it's going to change. So these are separate. That's why it's hard. Because up here is where you change the theme, you know, and then way down and over here, like you're going to be somewhere in here and you're going to be like, oh, and you see that, but it'll switch to that color, but you can't change the colors unless you come down here. But you'll find this separate and you'll be like, what's this? What's this? So object, viewport, and you'll be here and you'll see this and you'll be like, what does this go to? Because it doesn't like to select to it. But then you can change the colors here to that, and you can change it to what you want. Blue or yellow or green. Fun, fun, fun. I love it. And then also notice I'm in object mode and I do have it on. And up here in overlays, and it looks cool when it's selected and not selected. So you gotta click over here to deselect or hit Alt A. But if you come up here to overlays, while I'm in object mode, and you click this little bar, this little arrow, you come down here and go to wireframe. You can turn that off or on. And then you can do the opacity too. And I do that a lot because I love it. I think it looks so fun. And then come over here and play with the colors to your heart's content. And then there's yellow or black. You can select her. And that the selection color is not changing so much. But there's purple, pink, like so. And then if you go to solid mode, you go to the drop down. And then we are selected on her texture. But if we go to custom and we change this, now we can change her to any color that we want. We can make her dark pink. And then we can come here and we can change these colors now to what we want. Blue or green. And then slide around. Fun, fun. Fun, fun. Okay, so I just wanted to make mention of that. Because, like I said, and I'll say it again, Sam, because here, wireframe, object, and then you can come down here, right here, and that will be in object properties, viewport display. All right, so see you in the next one. That was fun. I'm switching back to my front view. And we'll talk more about colors again soon. Ooh, and animate more. You turn overlays off to see. Let's see her run from the Christmas tree. Dun dun dun, here she comes, slowly but surely. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. She made it. Woohoo! See you later. See you later. Star Fluke and Star Bloom.